Action on part of Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh. He in fact spoke to General Upendra Dwivedi, the Chief of Army Staff, this morning. In fact, we're learning that the Defence Minister was apprised of the ground situation, the ongoing counter-terrorist operation in Doda by the Army Chief personally. Akash continues to stay on with us. Yes, Akash, tell us a little bit about this conversation that took place between the Defence Minister and the Chief of Army Staff. And like I said, the kind of anti-terror strategy that the government is mulling given this new pattern that has emerged over the last few months.
Right. So in the latest update, we have got to know that Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh had a word with Chief of Army Staff General Upendra Dwivedi. And in fact, General Dwivedi briefed him about the situation and of course the operation that is ongoing in Doda. Also, as far as these areas are concerned, so initially straight from 2021, we used to see, in fact, a number of attacks. We have seen, in fact, a number of attacks in Rajouri and Poonch area straight from 2021. But now it seems that Doda is also there in the list when it is about areas that have become a hotbed of terrorism in the last few months. Specifically, we talk about this particular month. So this is the sixth attack, in fact, where we have lost 4 of our Jawans from Indian Army and 1 from Jammu Kashmir Police as well. As far as these areas is concerned, so as Ishan was pointing out, as after 2020 Galwan clash, several companies were moved out of this area because we needed those forces in Ladakh, and that is when these terrorists got a grip of the areas. In fact, they came back to the natural hideouts that were very much present in this area. Straight from 2006, we have seen that how Operation Sabvinash was conducted in this particular area, and at that time, this area became peaceful after 2006. But then after 2020, it has once again become a hotbed for terrorism, specifically the areas like Rajouri and Poonch and also Doda, the south of Pir Panjal range. In fact, the whole Pir Panjal range, because when we talk about this range, so this range is full of natural covers, natural hideouts, and when it is about this particular forest, this is dense jungle. Yesterday, this operation was, initiated by Jammu Kashmir Police and Indian Army Kitchween after a specific input, and after that particular input at around 9 p.m. for the second time the contact was established, and then in that gunfight we had several of our Jawans injured, and today we are getting to know that we have lost 4 of our Jawans including 1 officer, though we are still we have not received any sort of official confirmation on the number of fatalities. But yes, definitely, this operation is going on, and Indian Army Jawans and Jammu Kashmir Police Jawans are very much there on ground, deployed and fighting.
Okay. Akash, we'll come back to you in just a bit. There's lots more that, one has to decode, and most importantly, the kind of strategy that is being reworked around this particular belt in Jammu and Kashmir is also something that we're looking at very closely. But Ishan, there's another ploy in play here, which is that of the usage of M4 rifles. And it's not just limited to this particular encounter alone. You've been putting out details of how this weapon has been used by several of these infiltrators, several terrorists who've crossed over LOC. Tell us a little bit about this weapon and how there is a new strategy at play, and that's what's leading to this kind of a casualty that we're seeing encounter after encounter. The M4, we're told, is an assault weapon, but most importantly, they're also using steel core armor, which basically piercing bullets are used. So they're basically, what they're leading to is, steel core armor, piercing bullets being used is also very, very dangerous in that sense. Ishan, tell us a little bit about what we've managed to learn so far.
Well, there are 2 aspects to the rifle. One is that when US forces started withdrawing from Afghanistan, a lot of weapon was left behind, which caused a major concern throughout the world that this weapon can fall in the hands of wrong people and then it can be used. Though there wasn't much that could be done at that point of time. But the closest to all these places was Kashmir, where apprehensions by the agencies were there that this weapon could be used by these outfits, since many of them, including people from Jaish-e-Mohammed, Lashkar-e-Taiba, were fighting shoulder to shoulder with Taliban and other forces in Afghanistan, and they were training also them in Afghanistan. And at that time, they were concerned that this weapon could come to Kashmir. I remember a conversation with a top army officer who was that time stationed in Kashmir. He said that there are concerns and there have been weapons which have have been recovered. But those weapon numbers and other details were put out to the concerned agencies to look whether these are locally made in Pakistan or they were actually of the US forces which came to Pakistan and then slowly started coming to Kashmir. There was a slow, little apprehension of that. But now it has become more and more clear that the weapons are being more often found. Recently, when an encounter took place in Doda where 3 militants were killed, there was an M4 rifle which was recovered which had a thermal scope attached to it. Now, why am I mentioning thermal scope? It's because of the fact that during the use of thermal scope provides the militants an advantage that they could use it during the night time and they could spot a person from a distance. It's a scope that can fire, through which M4 you can fire from a very long distance, keeping yourself safe, hence becoming a sort of long-range rifle hitting with precision. And that precisely seems to be the case in all these, encounters where, along with AK-47 rifle, not denying that AK-47s are not there, but M4 rifle have been found now more frequent with attachments like thermal scopes and through which you can see even at the night time. And that's when you are seeing that from a distance they are able to hit the target. There were 2 knives also recovered which had US written on it. There were clear indications that they had come from Afghanistan to Kashmir. Now many of them were at the time when Lieutenant General Uvedra Dwivedi, and now a general, was a Northern Army commander. He had said that there are apprehensions that these militants could be former army personnel of the Pakistan Army and hence they are highly trained and they know how to operate in these hilly areas. Now, why steel armor piercing bullets are important? Because these can pierce a certain grading of the bulletproof armory that the security forces have at the moment. And that's when, last 3-4 years back, I recall that there was a talk about trying to replace some of this armory. Afghanistan, that's a larger question and larger into. But yes, patterns have been same. In Doda, when the AK-47, this M4 rifle was recovered, it had an attachment of a power bank to it because thermal scopes need charging, and that charging was done for additional support through a power bank so that it could sustain for a longer period of time, because they live in jungles and there are no charging points, or the electricity can be bleak when they try to live in any house, try to barge in any house. And that is where they are now using a similar pattern that has been seen in Afghanistan of attaching a power bank to it. And many of them have also solar powered power banks. So if you need to recharge your phones or gadgets, because they have satellite phones as well, so they can use these solar powered power banks. So the core focus of every attack is the use of technology by the enemy and how they are trying to advance compared to what we have seen in Kashmir. Because Jammu, there have been infiltrations, and something which has been accepted by the security forces, that yes, they will not shy away from accepting the fact that there have been infiltrations which have taken place.
Okay, all right. Ishan, stay on with us. How is it that they are so highly well equipped, if at all there is external logistical support that is being provided to them? We will try and talk about that in detail. But for the moment, let's quickly cut across live to Rajan, who's getting us more details. All right, we seem to have lost that line with Rajan, Network 18 reporter, who in fact continues to track the latest from on ground. But going across to Ishan once again. Ishan, like I was saying, have the forces also managed to unearth whether or not there is some sort of an external support that is being extended on a local level? How is it that they're so well equipped with the best of technology, the best of weapons? It could not have happened without logistical support being provided.
Well, absolutely right. There is definitely, a support which is being provided, and the weapon supply that has taken place. If I talk about the recoveries that were made, these knives had US written on it. That indicated the fact that these knives were actually, procured or had come in from Afghanistan. Because if you recall those images when the Taliban took over Kabul, a lot of pictures of weapon had concerned the global security apparatus, and they had said that this could fall in wrong hands, and security forces already had apprehensions. And the fact that many of them could be well trained in Afghanistan, because Afghanistan, you have a similar pattern. If you recall the images from Afghanistan when there was a war taking place with Taliban, it was fought on the mountains, and maximum casualties inflicted on on the US Army or the NATO forces happened during their fighting in these mountains, because they are well trained and they know how to deal with this mountain warfare in a way. So that's how they're able to navigate and stay for a very long time. And there was also one more apprehension that the forces had, particularly the movement of nomads, which takes place every year during the peak winter and summer time. The nomads who are living in Poonch, Rajouri and all these nearby areas, they live in high mountain passes because there are pastures for their sheep and the other cattle that they have, which provides them a conducive environment. And during the winter time, it's because it doesn't snow there, so they stay there during